Hi, and welcome to the first video in our Icelandic road trip, an 11-night journey around the country, and we start on the 13th of March 2018. If you like what you see, then don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more of these adventures, plus other travels near and far. Our road trip will take us on a clockwise route with 9 stopovers. I aim to pack in as much helpful advice, travel tips and warnings along the way, as well as show you a number of sites, all in under 15 minutes an episode. I'll also show you why this sign will become your best friend. Today's journey will take us from Keflavik International Airport along the southern coast to Hoffen, including a touch of the Golden Circle and much more too. And so without further ado, let's get started. And let me introduce you to Etta, our hire car for the journey. And our first stop en route is the hot springs. Now you may notice I don't pronounce all the place names. That's because I can't. Now one thing as well I can't provide you with is the smell of this place. It's intense. Now a quick word about the filming. This was all shot on an iPhone 8, mounted on DJI Osmo gimbal. It provides fairly steady camera work, but the one problem we do have is wind noise, and it's definitely windy here. So where I can, I'll provide you the natural sounds. If not, we'll just have some background music. And our first stop is a geothermal park, home of the original geyser, although he's lain dormant for a long while, so the main attraction is stock here, which erupts around every 5 to 10 minutes. It's free to park here and it's free to enter, and I'll touch on the costs of the road trip as we travel through. Now it's just a case of waiting for the eruption. Let's hope we get our timings right. Oops, missed it. Never mind, we can watch the magic as the water gets sucked back in, ready for the next event. We could stay another 5 or 10 minutes, but do you know what? It's a busy day, and on to our next destination. And this is the mighty Gullfoss. And to be honest, I think this is one of my favourites. But how Janice captured this, I don't know. The wind here was tremendous. But once again, it's free to park and free to visit. And to get a scale of this place, check out the footpath on the right hand side in the snow. Now we had already covered the Golden Circle on our 2007 trip to Iceland, so on this journey we headed out to make our own adventures. We'd done plenty of planning, but we also kept our eye out for that sign. It means normally there's somewhere to park and something worth seeing. And now a quick side note on visitor numbers. A lot of these places can get very busy, especially the most popular sites, but it's also easy to find quieter spots. And now the sound of a real waterfall, along with a little bit of wind too. This road trip is more about the journey than the destinations. There are exceptions, but definitely make sure you enjoy the journey. And now another major attraction on the Golden Circle, and this was the only one on our trip where we had to pay for parking. Now the fee was a nominal amount, maybe €1 or €2, £1 or £2, or $1 or $2. It's just a real small fee. And as you can see, it does get a little busy, but hey, once again, a little bit of patience. In the summer months you can walk behind the waterfall. However, at this time of the year with the ice, it was closed off for safety reasons. And another waterfall. And guess what? You don't get tired of them. They're stunning forces of nature. And here, like so many of these attractions, you'll find a gift shop and a cafe and facilities for taking a comfort break. That's one of the things you'll need to focus on the planning of your trip. And now the Black Beach, and we were surprised by how busy this was, considering it was blowing a gale, freezing cold, but I guess all of us are pretty much following the same route and the same attractions. And it wasn't until after this particular video, when we'd reached Hoffen, that we really noticed the volume of traffic and the amount of tourists diminished significantly. So don't forget to subscribe and click on that notification bell so you don't miss the further instalments of this journey. And I love this. Nature can chuck us a few surprises. Come on, Janice, you know you can outrun this. So we're now on to day 4 of our journey and a few more waterfalls. And it's worth mentioning we were unable to capture everything we wanted to on video, either due to the weather or other conditions that have prevented us. So if you want to catch the full itinerary, then check out our blog post. I'll pop a link in the description below. One thing that you'll notice, no matter how much planning you'll do, there'll always be something you'll come across that'll surprise you. Like this at the roadside. Easy to stop and take it in. It's these little unplanned stops that you need to put into your schedule, and there may be a few of them during the day, so factor that in for a stress-free drive. When talking of a stress-free drive, here's a few of our tips. Double check this, but the time of recording, the speed limit is 90 km per hour on tarmac and 80 km an hour on gravel, but that's the limit. You want to be enjoying yourself, and even if you stick to the limit, you're going to find there's people in a terrible hurry trying to get past you. And take care when pulling to the side of the road, especially when it's snow covered, because as you can see here there's verges, but when it's covered with snow it looks completely flat, and even the verges can be deceptive and are a lot softer than you think. And fuel stops like comfort breaks can be limited, so if you're below half a tank, then top up when you're in your next major town. And when you park up, park into the wind if you can. That stops the door being ripped out of your hand by the gusting winds as you open it, and that could leave you with an expensive bill once you return the rental car. We also packed a USB rechargeable torch, a USB cigarette lighter converter, and a good old-fashioned paper map. And now some other planning points. Breakfast was included at all of our accommodation, so we made sure we had a good breakfast and then aimed to hit the road by about 8:30 AM and arrive at our destination by 5 PM. Now back to the route, and that, below the mountains, is a glacier. And this is the first glacier we had ever seen, so we decided to get up as close as we could, and we followed a rather bumpy road to this view. We flipped out the paper map and noticed there was another viewpoint a little further along, so we didn't rush to get much closer. Back on the road again, you can see it in the distance, peering between the mountains on both sides. you have to admit that looks pretty impressive. However, to get to it was a bit of experience. It was down quite a rutted little road, and this is why I always advise people, opt for a little SUV if you can. The increased ground clearance and the 4x4 capabilities do come in useful. And when we got up close, wow, was it stunning. You can see the different layers, and some of them quite deep and dark, possibly from volcanic activity. This is the land of fire and ice after all. Now, you may have noticed on this journey we haven't been blessed with the best weather, but that doesn't make a difference. The location, the scenery is still stunning, and it still pops up surprises. We were surprised when we saw this little fella basking in the glacial lagoon. And then there was the Diamond Beach. Now this was stunning. These are parts of the glacier that have broken off, been washed out to sea, and then returned on the tide and deposited on the beach. And everyone's experience is going to be different, because nature takes a toll on these, and you can actually watch them just melting in front of you on the black sand. And that brings our video to a close. I really hope you like what you've seen. Don't forget to subscribe for the next instalment of this journey. Stay safe, stay well, and happy travels.